It's a record points margin. It's a record winning margin against Wales for Scotland, beating the previous best of 25 points. And disheartened Ken Owens, Wales are in a deep, deep hole, a dark place now under Warren Gatland, and desperately looking for a way out. But Scotland are looking forward. That's 2 wins from 2 for the first time since 1996, and they will go to Paris in 2 weeks' time with their Grand Slam and Championship hopes very much intact. They've taken Wales apart in this second half, and they've run out comfortable winners here at Murrayfield on a scoreline of 35 points to 7.
Dave, thanks very much. So Scotland bridged that 1996 gap, 2 wins in a row, the start of their championship, and Paris beckons. Ireland will go in round 4. The table makes for very nice reading as well for Scotland. Ireland bonus point wins to kick off this year's championship. Scotland with them every step of the way. As for Wales, this is turning into a very serious situation. No score in that second half. They were within 6 at half-time, Rob, but the Scottish dominance you all talked about at half-time was borne out in the second half.
Yeah, it was. I think Scotland came out in the second half and played with a little bit more freedom. They played with more bravery, demonstrated probably by Finn Russell, who had a slow and a quiet start to the game, but finished very, very strongly. And you know, that's 2 good weeks from Scotland now. They've backed up their performance from last week. They've proved that they can be a little bit more consistent than they have in the past. And, you know, they'll fancy their chances for this tournament.
This Welsh side are in trouble.
This Welsh side are in big, big trouble. You know, we called it at the end of the game last week. We thought Gatland potentially was a complete miracle worker, but he's not. He's a human coach, and this Welsh team have a huge amount of rebuilding to do. It's going to take them a considerable amount of time, I think.
The problem for Wales, Robbie, is I don't think they've hit rock bottom yet. That was as poor a organisation in attack as I've ever seen from a Welsh side. I can't remember a Welsh side their attack being as it's just non-existent in a framework. All they've got is 9 to a runner, 9 to a runner, and or it hits 10 to a runner. There was nothing else to their attack. It was, or obviously the only score they got was a maul. Very, very poor.
Even last week, it was worse, way worse than last week. Last week we thought they had a poor performance at home, but even at least they put a bit of structure on it. They had a bit of spark. They were so stodgy. And in that first half, I felt like they just dragged Scotland into a stodgy contest, and Scotland eventually rose above it.
Yeah, and you've got to say, there was a couple of moments of magic from Finn Russell. Absolutely glorious play that the guy is just capable of. That we're just sublime, you know. And you've got to say, at times he is a sublime player. He personifies the Scottish performances over the last few years.
Is he becoming less flaky as his career matures?
I think he's been much better in these last 2 games, where he's got an X factor. There's no 2 ways about it. The guy's got some talent, but he seems to force it sometimes. Like I've got to be flamboyant even when it's not on. He just made really good decisions today, and he made really good decisions last week.
It's funny, you know, he was bombed out of the squad for disciplinary reasons, and then an injury crisis forces Gregor Townsend's hand. Maybe it's been the perfect storm, as in, I've shown you, Finn, if you don't get your act together discipline-wise, I will bomb you out. And yet he's been able to bring him back into the squad and make use of the talent.
Yeah, I mean, people talk about the time whenever he kind of said some words at half-time against England and just changed the tide, came out in the second half, looked completely different. So maybe back then, this is some sort of theory here, maybe back then it was him driving that, but it feels like he's not the only one driving it now. He's putting the ball out in front of Hugh Jones. Hugh Jones is tipping it on to Van der Merwe, and the Kinghorn came on, played really well. They all love the ball in space, and it feels like they've all bought into that. So it's less about him driving it, it's more that he's just another contributor to that style of play.
I think the leadership group has a bit to do with that. I think, you know, Richie, the back rower as captain, has sort of they've taken control away from the old leadership group that we saw let the team down at times. You know, they went out for a few beers when they weren't. The leaders went out for a few beers when they weren't supposed to. It's not the beers. that mattered. It's the example that they set. And I think that Richie's got hold of this. You know, I know Hamish Watson's not playing, but these really desperate people to win.
Yes.
And they've taken control. And the players have been empowered to say to them, look, come on, mate, just play for us. Play for the team, not yourself. And I think he is playing for the team a lot more.